Good day everyone. So since we are not having a face-to-face classes in this topic, so we will make it as a pre-recorded video and we let us not skip the classroom rules since we are not having a face-to-face. So I want you to please listen carefully. So our topic is doing ethical research and we have here 4 objectives. The first one is know what is ethical research. Second, appreciate the specific ethical issues related to conducting research with children. The third one is know the difference between core principles and ethical principles of research. And the last one is learn scientific approach in ethical research. So let us now read the principles and guidelines for conducting research responsibly and with integrity, especially when human or animal subjects are involved. So like for example, the case study or a narrative study, it involves subjects or human like as their participants. So we have these core principles of researches. We have the 5 and the first one is the informed consent. So informed consent, participants must voluntarily agree to participate in a study after being fully informed about its purpose, risk, benefits, and duration. So, informed consent means pumapayag ang participant na sumali sa study after ipaliwanag sa kanya ang purpose nito. Like for example, bago sagutan ng isang survey, they should know how long it will take at paano gagamitin ang kanilang mga kasagutan. So, the next one is the confidentiality and anonymity. So, researcher must protect participants' personal information and data, ensuring it is confidential and where possible anonymized to prevent identification. So, it means na dapat protektahan ng researchers ang personal info ng participants. So, dapat siguraduhin na hindi sila makikilala. So, sa example, sa isang online survey, hindi kasama ang pangalan ng isang students upang hindi sila ma-identify. Like for example, in using a narrative research, dapat kung sino ang inyong participants ay hindi malalaman ng babasa ng research na ito. So the next is minimizing harm. The well-being of participants is paramount, and researchers must take steps to prevent physical, psychological, or social harm. So, this means na dapat unahin ng researchers ang well-being ng participants at iwasan ang anumang physical, psychological, or social harm. For example, kung sensitive ang topic ng survey, siguraduhin walang offensive questions para hindi maapektuhan ang feelings ng participants. Or like for example, sa ginawa namin narrative research, we paid for psychometrician to guide us in conducting our research. So the next one is honesty and transparency. So researchers are expected to conduct their work with integrity, presenting data accurately, avoiding plagiarism, and being open about their method and findings. So the honesty and transparency, this means na dapat gawin ng researchers ang study with integrity. Tama ang data, walang plagiarism, at open sila sa methods at findings. Example, kung nag-survey sila ng 100 students, dapat totoo ang bilang at hindi gawa-gawa ang results. So the next one is respect for participants. Research participants are valuable contributors, not just sources of data, and their rights, privacy, and dignity must respect throughout the research process. So this means na dapat tratuhin ang participants bilang valuable contributors. So, igalang natin ang kanilang rights, privacy, at dignity. For example, kapag ayaw ng participant na sagutin ang questions, respetuhin natin ito at hindi dapat pilitin. So, pupunta na tayo sa ethical principles of research and scientific approach. So, we have here the ethical principle of research, and let us now proceed to informed consent. Bumalik lang siya sa kanina. Informed consent, a person knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently gives consent to participate in research. So this means na ang isang tao ay knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently na pumapayag sumali sa isang research. For example, bago mag-survey, ipaliwanag muna sa kanila ang duration nito at ganun nga kung paano gagamitin ang kanilang mga kasagutan. So next is protecting anonymity. So it means keeping the participant anonymous. So pabalik-balik lang din na it means na hindi ipinapakita o ibinubunyag ang identity ng isang participants o yung mga sasagot ng survey mo. So next is honesty. Being honest with the beneficiaries and respondents, findings and methodology of research, direct and indirect stakeholders. So this means na dapat maging tapat ang researchers sa beneficiaries, respondents, findings, methodologies, at lahat ng stakeholders. Examples, kung may errors sa survey results, dapat i-report ito ng totoo at hindi itago. At unang-una sa lahat, huwag gawin na sagutan ng sarili mo ang mga research questionnaires or surveys.
As a continuation of ethical principles of research, we have integrity. Integrity ensuring honesty and sincerity. It is fulfilling agreements and promises, and also don't create false expectations and false promises. So when we say integrity, it is our integridad in doing our research, the integrity of the researcher. And also don't make a false agreements, false expectations, false promises. If we have to promise to our participants, then we have to fulfill our promises, whatever it is. Next is objectivity. Objectivity, avoiding bias in experimental design, data analysis, data interpretation, and peer review and other aspects of research. So we have to be objective. We don't need to be a bias when doing our research, depending on the data analysis, the experimental design, and the other aspects of research. Next is beneficence. Beneficence is do good and maximize the benefits of the participants. So we have to be good. We have to do good, especially when we are doing our research. If we're doing our research, we have to be good in doing everything in the research. No biases and no false expectation. We have to be honest for them to have the maximum benefit of the research. Next is non-maleficence. It is protecting the subject or human, do no harm, minimize harms of risk to the human, ensure privacy, autonomy, and dignity. When we say non-maleficence, it is we have to protect the subject or the participants of the research. It is not harmful anyway because we are just protecting the research participants, and we have to ensure also the privacy, autonomy, and the dignity of both researcher, ours if we're doing our research, then the research participants. Next is responsible publication. It is responsibly publishing to promote and uptake research or knowledge. It is no duplicate of the publication of the research or the study that you have. So when we say responsible publication, it is you are going to publish the research study responsibly. Of course, there is no duplicate of the publication. We don't have to double the publication, and also no plagiarism at all, because we have to be responsible in publishing our research. Next is non-discrimination. Avoid discrimination on the basis of age, sex, race, ethnicity, and other factors that are violation of human rights and are not related to study. Of course, we have to avoid discrimination regarding on its age, sex, ethnicity, race, and whatsoever it is. We have to be fair. Next is openness. Be open to sharing results, data, and other resources. Also accept encouraging comments and constructive feedback. So we have to be open as a researcher. We have to share the results together with the participants, and also we have to accept encouraging comments and feedback in our research. Because in the research, when we are doing our research, we have to defend our research before it is being published. When we are defending our research, we can receive a comments, a feedback from the panelists that can enhance our research. Lastly is justice, obligation to distribute benefits and burdens fairly, to treat equals equally. Of course, you have to treat your participants equally, and we have to give justice to their participation. So of course, they participate in our research, then we are obliged to give justice to their answers, to their time. Of course, we have to give them the benefits that they deserve. So that's the ethical principles of research. The informed consent, protecting anonymity, honesty, integrity, objectivity, beneficence, non-maleficence, responsible publication, non-discrimination, openness, and lastly, the justice. Why is ethical research important? So we have to know why ethical research is important, why ethics is very important in doing our research. So here's the answer. It protects participants, upholds scientific integrity, guide researchers, and ensures funding and publication. Number one reason of doing ethical research is it protects participants. It safeguards the rights, safety, and dignity of individuals involved in the research. Of course, it protects the participants and the research of the study or in the research study that you're doing. You have to protect the rights, dignity, and also it has to be anonymous. No, we don't have to tell to everybody, to everyone, that it is her or his answer or this is her opinion. Next is it upholds scientific integrity. Ethical conduct ensures the reliability and validity of research findings, maintaining public trust in science. Of course, it really upholds scientific integrity. It is really important in doing our research because it has to be reliable and valid. So we're going to rely on the researchers. We're going to see that research that is being published is reliable or valid, and it can lead them to another research that they are going to do. Next is to guide the researchers. Ethical guidelines provide a framework for researchers to make responsible decisions when designing, conducting, and reporting the studies. Of course, just what I said recently, that the research and doing ethical research, you are guiding the another researchers through their studies. Your research can be their basis or they can make reference, they can base on the research. Lastly is ensures funding and publication. Many funding bodies and academic publishers requires that the researchers has obtained ethical approval before it can be supported or being published. Of course, it has to be ethically approved, the research that they are going to publish, so that their funding on that research is being valued and be worthy. So it is the end of the lesson, and I hope you guys understand this lesson regarding on doing ethical research.